Cine se ocupă de securitatea Europei? Răspunsul la această întrebare începe să fie diferit acum pentru că europenii devin direct responsabili de propria lor apărare. Statele Unite reprezintă o parte importantă a arhitecturii de securitate europene și rămâne principalul aliat în NATO. Europa se întoarce însă la ideile mai vechi ale lui Emmanuel Macron, președintele Franței, și își construiește propriul său plan integrat pentru a fi mai rezistentă în fața provocărilor globale. Nicolas Warnery este ambasadorul francez la București și ne oferă toate detaliile despre implicarea țării sale în protejarea continentului. Sunt Cristina Cileacu, începe Pașaport diplomatic. Nicolas Warnery, ambassador of France in Bucharest, welcome to Diplomatic Passport.
Thank you.
Ambassador, President Macron is in the center of attention because he is really supporting the effort of Europe in standing on its own feet. How the European Union, much more independent when it comes to defense, looks in the eyes of France?
He knew the President Trump from the first mandate of President Trump because even if he's young, President Macron is quite an experimented statesman. Now he has 8 years of experience in the same position. So he probably guessed that it would be important to be quick and to be in touch, in close contact with President Trump, to see what could be the European influence in the American initiatives, various initiatives, especially in Ukraine, of course. And so that's why he traveled, that's why he called him several times. And at the same time, with European colleagues, he wanted to push our old ideas, actually, regarding European defense. That means that we always thought that we had to listen carefully to the American message telling us you must increase your effort, mainly financial effort, but also human effort, sending troops, etc., military efforts, and you must become adults, if I can say so. We don't use that word. It's my way to put it. But so we took very seriously the American message. I think some of us, I'm not speaking of President, I'm speaking of myself, were quite shocked by the way it began and by the way some positions were put, either on social networks or on TV, coming directly from White House, etc. But we took it very seriously, and we think it's an opportunity also to be, again, stronger, more united, and to face the new reality, which is that the Americans have other priorities. They are telling us very clearly we have to accept it, to face the truth, to listen to them, and to be united, strong, and to face the challenge of the peace in Ukraine. Everybody talks about peace. We are for peace, of course, but sustainable peace, a peace guaranteed by security guarantees. This is the main fight of the President and of France and of actually all of us. All these meetings in Paris, in London, leaders traveling to Washington, the meeting of Brussels, the meeting of Paris with the chiefs of staff, and the next meetings coming in the next days and weeks are focused on this priority. We must offer security guarantees to Ukraine, and then we will be all of us safer. And we will build, at the same time, our common defense security in the framework of NATO.
We will be talking about all these things you mentioned, but I have a curiosity regarding how you can compare the French diplomacy. We saw that President Macron is very charming, especially his speaking on Donald Trump language, and the American diplomacy. Can you compare those two?
Well, the main difference, but that has been there for a long time, is that the Americans change a lot of diplomats and a lot of senior jobs, let's say, in the Department of State when there is a new administration. So nowadays, with this administration, this Trump II administration, there are a lot of newcomers, which is normal, and a lot of people coming from outside diplomacy, outside foreign affairs, coming from business mainly, closely linked to the president, Trump, and they are sent as a special envoy or special negotiators to various areas. Sometimes they cover two big areas, for example, Middle East and Ukraine, etc. And so it's a sort of it's a different way of negotiating, of course. And the second main difference, probably, I mean, obviously, is the use of medias. I mean, many things in the traditional diplomacy happen behind closed doors. Everybody knows that there is a meeting. It's not a secret. It's not a plot. And then people get out of the room and communicate, make statements or common press conferences. But showing a meeting, an important one, on direct, on TV, this is a totally new method, of course. And we could see a few days ago that it doesn't get always to a good result. And anybody gained in what we saw on TV a few days ago in the Oval Office, I guess. So I hope that in the next days, weeks, months, we will come back to some more classical ways of working, because it's easier to say things again without a camera than with a camera. Sorry to say that in front of camera, but it's obvious.
That was actually my question, so you give me an answer. The United States will not leave NATO, but on the other hand, they do want more increased spending from the allies. How is France going to cope with this?
Well, we took into account for quite a long time this message. We put a lot of effort in our own defense, in our armament industry, because we think that it's part of it. Even the Americans don't always mention that part of it. It's a part of it. To be autonomous, to be stronger, you have to pay more, you have to have more soldiers, and you have to get sometimes also your own armament, your own materials. So we built for quite a long time now our industrial defense, and we are trying to make it a European industrial defense. That means to have common projects, to produce some armament in other countries, to have common licenses, and to buy each other the equipments made here in Europe, not to fight against the Americans, just to be autonomous, to be ready to face our own responsibilities. This has been always the issue. Regarding France precisely, due to the big amount we put in the nuclear deterrence, of course, we didn't have up to now as much money to put on classical and conventional armament, but we will increase also this part of the effort in the next months. We already began, actually. The minister was very clear. He asked the French industrial armament to increase its production and to increase the rapidity with which it can provide with equipments, ammunitions, many equipments actually, tanks, Rafale planes, jets, etc., etc. So in all the fields of responsibility, we try to increase our effort.
And how does, in all this big picture, fit the Rearm Europe plan proposed by the European Commission through Ursula von der Leyen's voice?
It's part of it, and we are very happy that the Commission takes itself with a quite big figure, and the head of the chairwoman of the Commission, the responsibility to communicate on that, to express views, because it has to be a common effort. And if leaders can speak in the name of the group from time to time, it's better to have also the European institutions talking themselves. So the plan is part of it, of course.
And how will this plan evolve from your point of view? Because on one side we have to increase the NATO spending, on the other hand we have to develop the industry in Europe. All this money will come from where?
Well, I think the European money will come from Europe. Of course, this is very clear. So that means we have to make efforts. All our leaders in all our countries are trying to explain to the public opinion that the effort is for now, that like President Macron said, the benefits of peace are over. That doesn't mean that peace is over, but the luxury to think that we would live all our life in peace, no more war, that's over. In ex-Yugoslavia there has been a very, very difficult war some years ago, and now it's in Ukraine, so war is there, still there, even in Europe, on our continent. So we must accept it, and we must again face our responsibilities. And still the war is going on. I hope that something will happen, ceasefire, peace process, etc. We all hope that. But up to now, there is still a war, a very, very tough war. So we have to live in this reality, to accept it and to live in it, and to make all the efforts needed.
Another reality we have to face is the fact that Russia is violating the international law by attacking Ukraine. That's clear, and we see it still, unfortunately. On the other hand, in Europe there is a big discussion about the Russian frozen assets, which would be illegal, according to the international law, to be used by European, even if it's for helping Ukraine. What is France's point of view in this topic in particular? Because we talked earlier, the money are needed.
Well, the debate is still going on, so I would not be too specific, but I think that we would totally agree to use the interests of this frozen money, maybe not the capital itself. This is the issue. The issue is the capital. I think everybody agrees on the interests, and we are already proposing to use them or using them. The main amount of the money, the capital itself, there is still a debate. There is still a debate. I know that there are various positions within Europe. So I don't know what will be decided at the end.
France and the United Kingdom had another proposal, since now UK is, let's say, closer to European Union, to help Ukraine with peacekeeper troops if a ceasefire will be signed. On the other hand, Russia says that will not accept in any circumstances this proposal. Will a solution be found? What do you think? Because the Russians were aggressive again.
Well, this is probably the heart of a negotiation, and it's pretty normal that at the beginning of a negotiation the two parts are not saying the same things, because if they would say the same things, that would mean that the negotiations would be almost over or over. So it's just the beginning, the very, very beginning. But for sure, at the end of this negotiation, there will have to be some guarantees. I saw that President Trump said that American citizens working in the economy, in mining fields, would, by their presence, be a sort of deterrence, because Russia would never attack a country or a region where you've got American citizens in quite a big number working there and living there. This might be part of the deterrence of the security guarantees, but for sure, according to us, there has been also to have military guarantees, people, equipment, soldiers. So yes, some countries within NATO or Europe are propose already to be there, to be on the ground. Some others say no, we will not. We will offer another contribution. We will contribute in another way, logistics or finance or equipment, I don't know, but not with men and women on the soil. We shall see what happens at the end of the day. But I cannot imagine a sustainable, long-term peace process without any soldiers of peacekeeping. Just after a war, such a war, I cannot imagine it at this stage.
Russia proved us many times that it's wrong to trust it. Again, a clear thing. While everyone is struggling to obtain at least a truce in Ukraine, the situation in the Black Sea remains in the focus of security for Europe, because a lot of things are happening in the Black Sea. France is already present in Romania from the military point of view. Are you going to be much more involved as a country when it comes to the security of the Black Sea here in Romania?
Well, we think that the contribution that you mentioned just a second ago, the Eagle Force, is contributing to the peace in the whole area, including, let's say, the Black Sea area. We are proposing, and we are actually beginning to contribute to the demining operations under the three states agreement: Romania, Bulgaria, Turkey. And it's part of security of the sea itself. We are patrolling above the sea. People don't know that always. People don't see the planes because they come directly from France. They refuel in the air. They make their patrol and they go back. They refuel again on their way back. So it's what is called police missions, air police missions, and our Air Force and our Navy as well with planes is contributing to these missions. So we might always increase the efforts, but for sure the sea itself and the area around the sea are part of the game. It's not always specific areas, it's the whole area which has to be secure. Of course, it's a regional, we have to have a regional approach, include Moldova, include maybe Georgia. I mean, security has to be everywhere in this part of the world, because if not, a war can begin again.
Since you mentioned Moldova, and France is also a very big supporter of Republic of Moldova as well, it was a recent meeting between the presidents of the countries in Paris. Do you see for Moldova and for Ukraine, with all this Russian threat hovering non-stop, a solution for them to be members of the European Union faster, let's say, than the usual track?
I don't know. For what is sure is that Romania is insisting on that, and we agree on that, is that there must be given sort of priority. We must handle with this issue quite quickly, very quickly maybe. But for sure, the peace process would help much to accelerate the process. So it has to be both a strategic peace process on one hand, and on the other hand, the normal European process, technical, economic, legal, and the ideal scenario would be the one in which we could mix the two approaches to have a fast, robust démarche of integration for both Ukraine and Moldova.
France and Germany were not always on the same page, let's say, when it comes to defense. On one hand, we have President Macron. He insisted always on more autonomy when it comes to European defense. Germany, on the other hand, was relying much more on the United States for this issue. Now that the situation is as we see it, and we don't need to describe it more, will the German-French engine restart again Europe?
I think it already restarted. Even if the new chancellor or the future chancellor is building his future coalition nowadays, there has been already talks and many consultations, exchanges of ideas, and I think yes, the future German government will be quite close to our president and our government on these issues. Yes, I'm quite confident, actually. In this sort of nightmare that we live in right now, I feel it like a nightmare. The good thing is that we are much closer to the Brits now than we were just a few months ago. And after the Brexit, remember, it was not an ideal phase of life for our relations, and probably also closer to the Germans. Now that the election is behind, they can build again some things with a medium-term perspective. For us, we still have some time before our next big elections, so we can be in a good and favorable period to build stronger links between us, especially in terms of security, but not only, also economy, many other fields. And we have to take this opportunity. This is the good part of this ugly war and this ugly period. The good part is that we are more united than we were as Europeans.
Yeah, the unity is stronger.
Clearly.
There is a habit in this program when we have an ambassador as a guest. The last question is always about the plans in Romania. So since you are ambassador of France in Romania, what are your plans for your mission here?
Well, my mission has been from the beginning, even if there has been many changes in almost all the sectors of our work and our life. My main mission is still to contribute to security, defense, protection of Romania here and of the area. This is the first axe, the politico-militaire, like we call it in France. Second one is to build together Europe. We are on a day-to-day basis working and building Europe. Europe is not something finished. good or bad. It's something under construction, and it will go on for a long time. And to reinforce, of course, the traditional, beautiful bilateral relation between our two countries. So we are always, all the day, I'm switching from one axe to another. Sometimes I'm a bit lost. No, I'm kidding. Because everything is linked. Everything is linked. Everything is coherent. I hope so. And we are switching from one register to another very, very quickly, depending on the issue that we work on. But luckily, with Romanian authorities, we've got such an easy dialogue. We understand each other very quickly. Even if we disagree, sometimes we don't vote the same way in Brussels. Sometimes it happens. But do you hear about that? No. We just are not fully. We take a slightly different position in Brussels. That happens. But we understand each other very quickly. We exchange views very quickly. Papers, positions. It's very smooth, very efficient. Very efficient. So this is my pleasure here. We are under strong pressure. We are living again in sometimes, some days, when we see some things on TV, it looks like a nightmare, like an ugly movie coming from you imagine where. But it's so easy and so nice to work here that it compensates, for me, at least.
Ambassador, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Atât pentru astăzi, dar rămânem în continuare online pe pagina de Facebook a emisiunii și pe conturile noastre de X și Instagram. Revenim cu subiecte noi din lumea diplomației și a politicii externe, vinerea viitoare de la 11:30 și în reluare sâmbătă după miezul nopții. La revedere!